10 sinister small-town secrets exposed, haunting true stories that will chill you to the bone. In the heart of Maple Grove, where the sun-dappled streets felt safe and familiar, darkness stirred underneath the perfect facade. It began subtly, an ominous whisper in the guise of a number, strange, cryptic digits appearing in Sarah's mailbox every Thursday evening. No return address, no explanation. At first, she shrugged it off. It was just a joke, or perhaps a prank her kids would giggle about later. But as fear crept in, it seeped deeply into her bones. The numbers seemed to follow her, 1,000 icy fingers tracing her spine. Every night, her children, Emma and Jake, awoke screaming, eyes wide with terror, voices trembling as they recounted nightmares of shadows reaching out from the abandoned asylum on the town's outskirts. What started as innocent, playful laughter threw their home into a somber echo, filling every nook with tension. Was it mere coincidence that the asylum loomed, a decay-stained giant cloaked in myths of tragedy? The stories had always been there, whispered among neighbors during monthly potlucks, concerning the misdeeds that once transpired within the asylum walls. Sarah felt compelled to explore. The local library turned into her sanctuary, where she consumed the dusty histories of Maple Grove, her heart racing with each page. The deeper she delved, the more she uncovered disappearances, damning articles buried under layers of dust and time, desperate cries for help swallowed by an indifferent past. As Sarah pieced the dark puzzle together, she felt a weight pressing on her chest. Her best friend Emily, the trusted confidant, transformed into a potential stranger, her laughter now grating, her gaze uneasy. Sarah's world, once enveloped in cozy simplicity, frayed at the edges. Doubt invaded her heart. Were the smiling faces of her neighbors familiar friends or mere masks concealing sinister truths? She decided to confront the police, to seek help from those sworn to protect, but they brushed off her concerns. Corruption ran deep, roots such as the gnarled trees lining Maple Grove's streets wrapped tightly around civic authority. No one wanted to dig too deep, she realized, not when comfort derived from silence. The realization made her tremble, her grip on reality slipping away. With the night thickening around her, shadows fell upon the walls of her home. Whispers echoed in the stillness, sounds unsettling enough to make her heart race. Footsteps seemed to trail her own on deserted streets. An unseen voyeur, watching, waiting, a predator lying in wait. Panic bubbled beneath her skin. Who could she trust in a town where everyone wore masks, and what dark connection did they all share with the asylum? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Now, as she stepped out into the thick darkness, a chill gripped Sarah's heart. The looming silhouette of the asylum called out to her, its windows like hollow eyes staring right into her soul. A mounting dread twisted in her stomach. Whispers grew louder, swirling around her, teasing the edges of her sanity. Before she could turn back, she felt the presence behind her, a breath on her neck, a feeling of being hunted. The night was alive with danger, and she was the prey. Would she uncover the truth lurking in her town, or would the sins of Maple Grove swallow her whole before dawn broke? Sarah's heart raced as she stumbled through the thick underbrush leading to the asylum, each snap of a branch echoing ominously in the stillness. The air felt charged, electric, as if the very night were holding its breath, waiting for her next move. The building loomed closer, a grotesque silhouette against the dim moonlight, its crumbling facade sending a shiver down her spine. She hesitated at the gate, rusted and creaking in the wind. The stark reality of what she was doing crashed over her. Should she really be here? But with every whisper in the night, with every dream that haunted her children, she felt the pull of the asylum, a dark, insatiable hunger for the truth. As she pushed it open, an awful screech pierced the night air, breaking the silence. It sounded like a warning. Her instincts screamed at her to run, but something deeper compelled her forward. an urgency rooted in her heart. She crossed the threshold, stepping onto the cracked pavement that had not felt a visitor's footstep in years. Inside, the air was cold and stale, filled with a pungent smell that wove through the halls like a snake. The walls were plastered with peeling paint, shadows dancing among the ruined remnants of what had once been. Peeling photos hung crookedly, faces she had never seen, that of patients lost in time, their eyes pleading, haunting. "Sarah," a voice whispered, soft and sweet. It was like a caress, drawing her deeper into the void. She nearly turned back. It felt wrong, too wrong, but the name echoed within her, a siren call she couldn't resist. "Mommy?" The soft voice resonated from the far end of the corridor. Her heart skipped. It was Emma's voice. "Emma!" Panic surged through her, and she rushed forward. The hallway stretched longer than she remembered, shadows flitted from corner to corner. "Mommy!" It came again, this time more desperate, clawing at her insides. Dropping her fear, Sarah sprinted, the silence broken only by her rapid footsteps. With each hurried step, she felt an invisible force rushing past her, an unseen whirlwind of dread. She turned a corner and froze. Emma stood at the end of the hall, a wispy figure surrounded by a dim glow that illuminated nothing else. "Don't come closer," she shouted, her voice trembling. Tears streamed down her little cheeks, eyes wide with terror. "They're watching you." The energy in the room shifted. The shadows thickened, seeping from the walls, swirling around her like dark smoke. Faces began to emerge, twisted, malevolent, with expressions that were eternally trapped in despair. Sarah felt a tightening in her chest. They were more than just memories. They were the tortured souls of the asylum. "Help us," they murmured in a chorus, a cacophony of guilt and sorrow. "No. I can't help you," Sarah yelled, backing away, but the walls closed in, attempting to swallow her whole. "Mommy! Run!" Emma screamed, pointing behind Sarah. But before she could turn, icy hands gripped her waist, pulling her back into the darkness. A scream formed in her throat but was smothered. The shadows closed in, hot breath brushing against her neck, drowning out her cries. That I and the turmoil, a thought pierced through her panic. What if the numbers weren't just a drawing toward the asylum? What if they were a warning? As the world blurred around her, Sarah realized she was not alone anymore. She could feel the ancient evil of Maple Grove drawing closer, hungry and expectant. There was no escaping the asylum, nor the sinister ties binding her to this cursed place, but what she didn't know was that deep within those walls lay the dark truth that could either save her or destroy everything she loved. Would she break the cycle, or would her family join the countless souls lost forever? The shadows stirred, breathing in the tension as a new presence made itself known in the darkness, lingering just beyond the threshold of safety. The grip around Sarah's waist tightened, fingers like ice digging into her skin. Panic surged through her as she felt herself yanked backward, deeper into the suffocating shadows. Gasping, she stammered out Emma's name, her voice cracking, swallowed by the cacophony of pleading voices that echoed inside the asylum. Help us, the whispers enveloped her, wrapping around her heart like a vice. She clawed at the hands holding her, but they weren't hands. They were essences, ghostly wisps of pain that threaded through time. Desperation dripped from their ghastly faces. "Emma!" Sarah cried, the darkness swirling, her surroundings transforming into a nightmarish vortex of frigid despair. Nausea rolled in her stomach as she spun, searching for her daughter, desperately clinging to the sliver of hope her voice represented. "Run, Mommy!" Emma's voice was a bright flare in the gloom, urging her on, and with every ounce of strength, Sarah forced herself forward, tearing free from the icy grips of the dead. She raced toward the glow that flickered like a lighthouse in the stormy seas of her dread, but with every step, dread coiled tighter within her, the asylum groaning, muscles strained against her escape. Shadows pulsed and wriggled, stretching across the ground, each movement crawling toward her, eager to pull her back into their grasp. "Don't look back!" Emma yelled as she vanished into the oppressive darkness, the light around her flickering in and out like a dying flame. Sarah felt her heart hammering against her ribcage, a primal urge to scream erupting within her, but she pressed forward, willing herself to fight through the fog of dread. Please, please, she gasped, her breath quickening, fear pulsing through every vein. I have to find her. Another wave of icy air swept through the corridor, carrying with it whispers that seemed to mock her. You cannot leave, you belong to us now. Stumbling, she rounded a corner, and there it was, a doorway. A glimmer of warmth spilled from its edges, the promise of safety beckoning like a lifeline. But as she reached for the handle, the voices crescendoed into a wailing storm of chaos. Shadows crawled up her legs, cold fingers clutching at her ankles, attempting to pull her down, back into the cold embrace of despair. "Mommy," came a soft whimper from just beyond the door. "Emma!" Sarah screamed, the sound mingling with the anguished wails surrounding her. Summoning every ounce of will, she kicked back against the darkness, the numbing cold burning against her skin. With a forceful twist, she grasped the handle, yanking it open. The door creaked as it swung wide, revealing a room bathed in a soft, warm glow, a stark contrast to the gloom. Emma's silhouette flickered just beyond the threshold. "Come on," Emma urged, her voice now clear, steady, almost commanding. Just as Sarah took the first step inside, the shadows erupted in rage, shrieking as they were torn from their prey. But before she could fully cross into the light, an invisible force slammed the door shut, sealing off her path. The temperature dropped instantly, a frigid, oppressive weight settling into her bones. "No!" She pounded her fists against the door, desperate and frantic. Behind it, she heard the whispers grow louder, a grim chorus pleading for more souls to join their torment. "You should have listened." Then came a sickening silence. The shadows faded. All that remained was a single heartbeat, her own. Without warning, a figure emerged before her from the depths of darkness, its face obscured but its presence undeniable. "You're not getting out that easily, Sarah." What had she done to deserve this? The door trembled against her frantic attempts to escape, and as she began to scream, darkness fell like a curtain. Now trapped between two worlds, a thought slithered through her mind: if she couldn't escape, how could she save Emma? And what if the very truth she sought was the reason she was bound here in the first place? With a renewed determination, she steeled herself, sensing a different energy in the air, one that felt eerily familiar. The asylum had its secrets, but she needed to uncover them. Because somewhere in this hell, a fight for her daughter's soul was just beginning. What horrors awaited her that would reveal not only the truth of the asylum but also her own past? The echo of her own heartbeat faded, drowning out the whispers just as a chilling laughter filled the air. Heart pounding, Sarah backed away from the door, her breath shallow and frantic. The figure loomed closer, shadows slipping around it like dark smoke. The air felt thick and ancient, pressing against her chest, suffocating her hopes. "You think you can save her?" The voice echoed, deep and thick with malice. "You don't even know what this place truly is." Fury ignited within Sarah. "I don't care what horrors you are," she spat, her voice trembling but fierce. "I only care about Emma." A twisted smile curled the figure's lips, and for a moment, the shadows parted to reveal a glimpse of its face, pale, with sunken eyes that shone like black pearls. They dug into her with an intensity that burned. "Emma is here, yes. But she is not who you think she is, not anymore." A sickening chill coursed through Sarah. Dread washed over her, shadows wrapping tighter around her, echoing her worst fears. "What have you done to her?" The words fell from her lips, barely a whisper, yet they hung in the air, thick with desperation. The figure moved closer, the darkness swirling in its wake. "You have a choice, Sarah. Join her or keep fighting. But if you fight..." It paused, a sinister grin spreading. "You'll lose far more than just your daughter." A scream tore from Sarah's throat as she pushed against the shadows pulling at her feet, digging her nails into the floor, struggling for a grip on reality. She couldn't let it get to her. The terror around her intensified as the whispers grew fainter, replaced by a deep, resonant laughter that echoed off the cold, stone walls. "Do you feel that? It's the weight of your own regrets, Sarah. They've brought you here. This asylum thrives on the darkness you carry. The figure leaned in closer, its breath cold against her skin. You want to save Emma? You have to confront what you've done. What had she done? Memories crashed over her like waves, suffocating and relentless, the arguments, the long nights, the way life had slipped through her fingers. Each regret clawed at her heart. No, I can't, she whispered, shaking her head as tears streamed down her face. I want to let you take me. But as she spoke, her resolve began to falter. The figure wrapped around her, enveloping her in a cocoon of darkness. Then you are already lost. To save someone sometimes you must be willing to lose everything. Suddenly, the world around her twisted. The walls of the asylum wavered, shadows contorted into grotesque shapes, swirling in a tempest of despair. She was drowning in a sea of her own emotions. Emma! Sarah screamed, the name echoing in the chaos, desperately breaking through the tidal wave of darkness. I will find you. A flash of light momentarily pierced through the shadows, illuminating a series of doors lining a hallway that seemed to stretch on forever. Each door pulsed with a memory, a fragment of guilt tied to her past. She had to make a choice. She would need to confront her demons to save her daughter. Sarah's heart raced as she sprinted toward the first door, her frantic footsteps echoing eerily in the silence. She could hear the thin, trembling cries of children just beyond it, a sense of familiarity drawing her closer. Panic surged within her, a heady mix of fear and responsibility. What had she done to put her child here? Could she truly face what lay beyond? With trembling hands, she grasped the handle. This was it. The fight was just beginning, and she was ready to carve a path through the darkness. As the door creaked open, she was met with a harsh, blinding light that consumed her vision, and then, an unearthly silence. When it faded, the familiar chaos of the asylum returned, but this time, it felt different. Someone stood before her, familiar yet foreign. Emma's face had an unsettling twist, one that made Sarah's heart plummet. Mommy? Emma said, her voice coated with something sinister, and Sarah knew. Something was terribly wrong. Are you ready to face the truth? The figure behind her whispered, and the door slammed shut, sealing her fate. What awaited Sarah on the other side of the darkness? Would she find the Emma she knew, or a harrowing truth that even now, she was afraid to see? The blinding light faded, and Sarah squinted, adjusting to her surroundings. The room bore a chilling resemblance to the confines of the asylum, but the air was somehow thicker, laden with a sorrow that weighed down her spirit. Emma stood there, still, her vacant eyes locked onto Sarah's, drifting through the edges of memory. Mommy, Emma repeated, her voice almost a song, but one twisted in an unnatural way. I've missed you. The words wrapped around Sarah, pulling her closer, pushing her uncertainties aside. It felt right, and yet so wrong. Emma, she choked out, I thought I'd lost you. Lost? No, you never lost me. Emma's smile, so eerily sweet, now carried an undertone of something sinister. You just didn't see me. Sarah's heart raced. What did that mean? A familiar weight settled again in her chest, one that made her feel vulnerable, exposed. She instinctively reached for her daughter, but the shadows seemed to sway, an invisible barrier tensing between them. Don't. A whisper cut through her thoughts, pulling her eye away from Emma. The figure loomed behind her, breath cold and oppressive. Don't touch her. You must understand. Understand what? Sarah yelled, anger wrapping around her grief. You've twisted her. She's not like this. Everything has changed. The figure stepped out from the shadows, revealing itself in the overwhelming light. Its pale skin gleamed, eyes swirling with endless darkness. The truth you seek will shatter you or the bond you hold dear. It took a step closer, and Sarah's instincts screamed for her to move back. You think you can save her? She's not your little girl anymore. She belongs to this place now. No. Sarah shouted, and a wave of emotion surged through her, stronger than fear. I refuse to believe that. But as she stood her ground, the room felt alive, morphing around her, her memories leaking into the walls. She saw glimpses of laughter, moments of innocence that fought against the growing dread. Faces of children flickered around them, caught in a web woven from pain and yearning, eyes wide but unblinking. Do you see them? The figure whispered, its voice wrapping around Sarah like a vine. These lost souls, their hopes in tatters, their cries unheard. They are the remnants of what you have buried. You may claim to seek Emma, but the truth lies in you. What truth? Sarah's voice cracked, and she stumbled as haunting memories assailed her: a fight over a forgotten birthday, the day she chose work over Emma's first recital, the moment she screamed when her daughter spilled a glass of milk on the carpet. Each regret pooled like weight in water, dragging her down. I never meant to hurt her. No, the figure replied, the coolness of its tone piercing the air. But intentions mean little here. Do you want her back, or have you already given up? Sarah faltered. In this twisted realm of shadows, she could almost feel the echoes of her daughter's laughter, interwoven with cries for help. Emma's face transformed, shifting between the child she adored and a stranger bearing her features, a specter of sorrow that clawed at Sarah's heart. I can't lose you again, Sarah cried, reaching out. I'll do anything. But will you? The figure's sinister smile broadened. You must confront the darkness in yourself. Or walk away empty-handed. The shadows surged, a gaping maw of despair yawning behind her. Sarah stood between the figure and her child, the weight of her past crashing over her like a twitching storm. The walls pulsated with her inner turmoil, colors swirled and shifted, reflecting memories she wished to forget. Choose, came the echo of Emma's voice, so sweet and yet laden with a heaviness that crushed Sarah's spirit. A choice. What kind of choice? The idea rippled through Sarah like a wave, both terrifying and freeing. Could she face the truth? The darkness thickened, wrapping her tighter in its embrace, suffocating her thoughts. As she turned to look at Emma once more, the child's face shifted again, morphing into something unrecognizable, smiling but wrong. Something is waiting, the figure breathed, a whisper. Laced with poison. In this most crucial moment, Sarah realized that the truth could fracture everything she once believed. But if she didn't step into that darkness, if she let fear dictate her, what would it cost her in the end? Please, let me in, she begged, desperation spilling into every corner of the room, but the figure's laugh echoed through the darkness, mocking and hollow. And lose yourself in return. The shadows writhed, the walls pulsated, and a chilling silence wrapped around Sarah. Time froze, a heartbeat away from an unraveling. What lay beyond the truth? What would she discover if she chose to face the darkest parts of herself? Emma! Sarah screamed, but the sound faded into a whisper, lost in the silence. As the shadows thickened, twisting her desires and fears together, Sarah realized she might just have to slip into the darkness to save what remained of her daughter. Would she be strong enough to endure? The world spun, the walls trembling with an answer that hung just out of reach. Could she truly find the light, or would she be consumed? And, as she took a hesitant step forward, the shadows flickered, offering a glimpse of the truth on the edge of oblivion. The shadows coiled tighter around Sarah, squeezing the breath from her lungs. Panic surged, but she forced herself to step forward, wayward thoughts of surrender clawing at her resolve. Emma! She called again, desperation coloring her voice. Emma's form shimmered, shifting as the memories flickered behind her like a film reel in disarray. Mommy, please come play with us. Her voice twisted into an echo, laden with aged sorrow. Play. Sarah repeated, her heart pounding. The innocence spun into something darker, creating a web of confusion. What do you mean? Who are these, us? Join us. The figure behind Sarah hissed, its breath cold and tainted. Embrace your guilt. Embrace your memories. You can free her. All it costs is yourself. The walls around her trembled, almost seeming to pulse with the weight of lost hopes. The faces of the children danced at the edges of her vision, lost, yearning eyes peered through scribbled memories, begging for release. There was a flicker of recognition among them, she could feel it in the tightness of her throat. These were the children she had overlooked, neglected. Sarah stepped back, terror grabbing her deeper, but a force pulled her toward Emma, the daughter she thought she might still save. "I won't abandon you," she cried, reaching for her. The moment their fingers nearly touched, a scream shattered the silence, a chorus of children's voices rising from the walls, pleading, crying, accusing. "Save us!" They echoed, their voices melding into a cacophony that drowned out all rational thought. Each word cut like glass, slicing through her heart, revealing the weight of her past choices, choices made in the frantic chaos of life. "Stop!" she yelled, squeezing her eyes shut. The memories raged on, a storm of shame. She rolled moment to moment, an avalanche threatening to bury her. "I didn't know." "Of course, you didn't," the figure sneered, inching closer, eyes dark and piercing. "But you turned your back on them. You turned your back on her. And now, you must pay a price for the truth." The walls shuddered violently, children's faces warping into grotesque masks of fear and anguish, merging with glimpses of Emma's own terrified expression. "Mommy, please," Emma's voice was soft now, laced with the sweet vulnerability that Sarah remembered. "No, no." Panic surged. The figure loomed, encroaching, feeding off her fear, the darkness thickening around her. All the weight of sorrow pressed in, almost suffocating her, but deep within a flicker of fierce love ignited. I can't live with this guilt." Sarah gasped, feeling the cracks in her resolve widen. "But I can't lose you." "Then you must face it." The figure's voice rose, powerful and menacing, crashing through the echoes of her trauma. "Face your regrets, confront the shadows of abandonment, and emerge whole or risk losing her forever." The darkness twisted, pulling at her feet, urging her to crumble. Sarah's heart raced as the walls began to shift again, swirling with a cyclone of memories, not just the pain but the love entwining in her mind. The birthday parties, the bedtime stories, the simple joys of motherhood clashed violently against the shadows threatening to devour them. "Choose." It droned, the sinister undercurrent making her skin crawl. "The truth lies in your past. The only way forward is through it. Will you embrace the darkness, or let it consume you?" A blinding light surged within her, illuminating fragments of laughter and joy. Could she weave together the threads of her lost innocence with the guilt suffocating her? Could she turn her past into a guardrail for the love she held for Emma? Sarah's decision began to solidify. The shadows writhed, but the light of love fought back, fiercely piercing through fear. "I will not let you take her," she yelled, and suddenly, a surge of energy ignited inside her. But just as hope began to blossom, the figure's laughter filled the air, a grim sound filled with malevolence. "And what if I told you, the truth would rip you apart?" As the darkness swirled, she saw her chance shimmering, her courage on the brink of fracture. Would this truth truly save Emma, or would it annihilate them both? Just outside her view, something shifted in the shadows, a figure waiting patiently, watching with ravenous eyes. "Are you ready to face your demons?" it murmured, signaling a descent into what lay hidden in the depths of her soul. With a heart pounding louder than ever, Sarah stood ready to confront the deepest fears she harbored. But would she dare? Where would this path lead her come morning light? The ground beneath her feet trembled like a living entity, responding to her turmoil. Shadows twisted like serpents, coiling tightly around her ankles, threatening to drag her down into a void of despair. Every heartbeat resonated through the air, echoing the fear that clung to her like a second skin. "Sarah," the chilling whisper curled around her like smoke, slithering into her ears. "Don't you see? The past is hungry for you. It craves your fear." She clenched her fists, a surge of defiance sparking within. "I won't let you take me." Her voice broke through the cacophony, startling the encroaching shadows. Fear is just one step away, the malevolent figure spat, its face appearing closer, a grotesque mask of malice. All you need to do is give in. In that instant, a surge of clarity washed over her. Sarah remembered the warmth of Emma's laughter, the way her daughter's eyes sparkled with hope and innocence. Was love powerful enough to pierce through this darkness? She thrust her hands forward, envisioning a barrier of light, desperate to protect the remnants of their bond. The shadows recoiled, a hissing retreat that filled the air with a coldness more biting than winter's breath. You dare to use love against me? How pathetic! The figure shrieked, but her heart surged in defiance. This love isn't weak. She shouted, forcing the memories of laughter and joy to erupt from her soul. She summoned moments of bedtime stories, hugs, and sunny days spent in the park, each one a weapon against the despair clawing at her heart. Mommy, don't let them take me. Emma's voice shimmered through the tempest, touching her very core. Tears streamed down Sarah's face, cutting hot trails on her chilled cheeks. I will find you. I will fight for you. As she proclaimed her love, light erupted from within her, a blinding flash that pushed the darkness back, creating a space between Sarah and the sinister figure. You think you can trap me in this hell? You're wrong. The figure shrieked, and the walls shuddered violently, splintering under the force of her resolve. The children's faces warped momentarily, flickering like old film. She could see their sorrow, their desires for freedom mirrored in her own eyes. Free us! They cried out again, a collective wail that beat against her heart like heavy drums. The figure snarled, its voice thick with venom. They are nothing but remnants of your guilt. They will only drown you. Come, join them, come play forever. But something cracked inside Sarah. The realization flickered like a firefly: these children were not the enemy. They were lost souls, trapped by pain and abandonment, forgotten in the noise of the adult world. I can change. Sarah cried out. I will remember you. I will remember all of you. With renewed force, she stepped forward, her light pushing against the shadows. They hissed and recoiled, seeming less substantial with each step she took. She stretched her arm toward the figure, no longer afraid. The echoing laughter of children surrounded her, growing louder, propelling her forward. Join us! They sang, their voices harmonizing in a chilling melody, awakening the memories once buried deep within. The figure faltered, its form beginning to dissipate, shadows retreating from Sarah's light. No! Not like this! It roared, but the power of her love surged like a tidal wave, smashing against the last remnants of the darkness surrounding her. Then, silence. But the darkness didn't fully disappear. Wisps lingered, whispering secrets just beyond her reach, taunting her with what might come next. A bead of sweat slipped down her back, a reminder that the fight was far from over. Now, you must uncover the truth, the lingering shadows murmured, their voices dripping with malice. Will you dare take the next step? Who will you lose this time? Sarah's heart raced as uncertainty crept back in. The path forward loomed before her, shrouded in hidden dangers. Could she truly face what waited in the depths of her past? Breathless, she stood on the precipice, knowing that she would have to plunge deeper into her memories if she had any hope of saving Emma. The shadows circled again, hungry and patient, as she took a deep breath, ready to dive into the darkness. What would she unearth within, and would that truth bring liberation or further destroy them both? The ground ripped apart under Sarah's feet, a deep chasm opening like a mouth, hungry and gaping. The shadows swirled menacingly, waiting to pull her in as she battled against the overwhelming wave of dread threatening to collapse her resolve. Don't be a coward. She taunted herself, forcing her legs to move. Each step felt like wading through tar, heavy and suffocating. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of despair molding her thoughts into a dark tapestry of fear and guilt. What are you hiding? They hissed, their tones warped with malice. What lies shroud your memories? A flickering image of Emma's smiling face pierced through the noise, sparkles of innocence defying the gloom. "Hold on, sweetheart," Sarah shouted, the desperate plea echoing in the cold void. Steeling herself, Sarah moved forward, plunging deeper into the shadows, the air thickening as she crossed into the abyss of her past. The world around her twisted, transforming into a series of snapshots, glances of a sunny day splintering into jagged splinters of reality. She saw her childhood home familiar, yet sinister. "Mom, please," a young voice echoed from the walls as shadows rushed past, flickering with storied fragments of laughter now turned into chilling cries. Her heart raced as she stumbled through memories, searching for answers buried beneath despair. "Why did you leave me?" A child's voice broke through the haze as more faces materialized, children whose eyes reflected the same haunting emptiness as Emma's. They reached for her with trembling hands, each face appearing as a reminder of her failures. "You can't save them," the sinister figure shouted, its voice a crackling whisper that seemed to echo from all directions. "They will consume you. Embrace your guilt. Join us." "No," Sarah screamed, rage bubbling within. "I will not let this darkness win." She closed her eyes and envisioned the love she felt for Emma, the bond she had nurtured. Warmth pulsed around her, the range of memories, the tenderness in embracing her daughter after a long day. It all surged in her heart like a raging wildfire. The shadows screamed in protest, flaring up, but Sarah thrust her light forward. The darkness writhed, retreating before her as the voices of the lost children filled the air, turning from screams to songs of encouragement. "Show her the light," they urged, and Sarah pressed on, fueled by their shared hope, but the sinister figure lashed back. "You think you can overcome me? Your love is a fragile illusion. Watch as everything you hold dear breaks down." In an instant, visions erupted around her, scenes from her past, fractured memories filled with pain and disappointment. Sarah saw herself standing over Emma's sleeping form, desolation swallowing her whole. "I failed you," she whispered, her voice breaking. "You will fail again," the figure hissed with cruel delight. "Embrace it. You'll never escape the cycle of loss." But Sarah willed herself to fight harder, connecting with the warmth of every lost moment. The love she carried was no illusion, it was her armor against despair. She felt the children's hands growing stronger around her, their collective hope entwined with her own, tightening like a lifeline. Then it crashed. A wall of shadows surged forth, wrapping around her neck like a noose. Sarah gasped, feeling the pressure squeezing tighter. "No." She shook her head as she struggled, but the darkness only tightened its grip. Just then, flickers of light danced in front of her eyes, ghostly shapes breaking through the thick gloom. "Help us, Sarah!" Emma's voice cried out, a beacon amid the chaos. "Remember who we are." The shadows hissed, recoiling beneath the light, but the pressure around her neck was choking. Each inhale filled her with desperation as the memories flickered and faded. Time was running out. She had to break the cycle. She had to confront the truth, whatever that might cost her. Sarah realized she was the key to saving not only Emma but the lost children around her. With all her strength, she drew upon that love, preparing to fight against the surging darkness. Ready to face whatever truth awaited her, but in the swirling chaos, she felt something crack deep within her, a realization that made her blood run cold. What if unearthing the truth meant losing everything all over again? As the shadows roared, she braced herself, heart pounding. Would she be strong enough to shatter the grip of the past and bring her daughter back? Then, amid the cacophony of desperation, a sliver of hope shimmered, a path she didn't understand but had to follow. "Sarah!" The voices urged, resonating with power. "You have to make a choice. What will you sacrifice?" And as the darkness reared again, Sarah's next step beckoned. Who would she save, and who would she lose in the end? The shadows intensified, like a storm closing in. Sarah felt the weight of the dark figure shift, its presence looming larger, engulfing her senses. Panic coursed through her veins. She could feel the chill of despair creeping closer, an icy breath brushing against her neck. "What will it be, Sarah?" The voice taunted, dripping with malice. "Your precious Emma or the rest? Pick who lives, who dies. Choose your sacrifice." Each word cracked like a whip, sending jolts of electricity through her body. She focused on Emma's light, envisioning her daughter's laughter, her innocent joy illuminating the darkness. A beloved face amidst faceless despair. Emma, the name barely escaped her lips. The thought of letting go clawed at her heart. The darkness pulsated, sensing her hesitation, and wove through the memories like a serpent, coiling tightly around her throat. "You cannot hold on to them all." It screeched, slashing through her thoughts, digging into her guilt. "Your inability to choose has left them lost. Just look at them." Visions swirled chaotically. Emma's nursery, once filled with joy, now shadowed with cries of unseen children yearning for love, for salvation. A glimpse of holidays gone wrong, faces full of anger instead of laughter, refracting the deepest disappointments like shards of glass. Each memory a dagger, revealing the truths she'd buried deep, screaming failures threatening to surface and enact their revenge. "Make your choice." Came the discordant symphony of lost children. They stepped forward, eyes wide, ghosts of innocence pleading through the shadows. Suddenly a flicker, a shard of light pierced the murk. Sarah felt warmth against her skin, the glow brightening the gathering dark. "Emma!" she shouted at the darkness. "You will not take her." Fingers trembling, she held on to that warmth stronger than the fear clawing at her heart. In a wild burst of determination, she visualized breaking the chain of sacrifice, the cycle of despair. "I refuse to give in," she declared, her voice strong, reverberating against the walls of the abyss. She felt the shadows reel as if struck by a blow, the dark figure shrieked in fury, the world trembling beneath her. "You think you can defy fate? You are nothing. You will pay." And with that, the ground shook violently. The chasm widened, a monstrous maw seeking to swallow everything whole. Sarah felt herself slipping. "This is just the beginning, monster," Sarah gasped defiantly, summoning every ounce of courage. "I will find a way." In response, the shadows formed a maleficent smile, malicious satisfaction banishing even the flicker of light. "You think your love can change what is destined?" Frantically, Sarah scanned everything around her, the memories lacerating into her mind. Each chosen moment flashing before her, laughter dissolving into cries, joy dissipating into regret. They haunted her, wringing her heart like a rag. But amidst the chaos, her heart raced. A single thought rooted itself deep: the answer lay not in choosing who to save, but in affirming their bond, their shared love. Love that painted even the darkest shadows with light. With strong resolve, she opened her arms as the darkness closed in, ready to embrace her truth. Her heart thundered as she began to chant Emma's name, a plea filled with all her hopes and dreams. "Emma! I choose love. Love for all. Not sacrifice." The shadows screeched, an unholy din of rage clashing against the voice in Sarah's heart. She felt the ground beneath ripple frantically, like a monster awakening. The chasm trembled again, and for a split moment, she thought she could see a glimmer of hope emerge within the darkest depths, but in that sliver of light, another face appeared grinning, chilling her core. A stranger, one she had never seen before, reached out from the depths, eyes gleaming with malice. "Do you think you chose wisely?" It cackled, laughter echoing in the void as the shadows swirled violently, and just like that, the light faded, washing into darkness, while Sarah's heart sank. What had she awakened, and at what cost? As the last flicker of Emma's presence vanished, a chilling thought crept in: could she face whatever horrors awaited her? The shadows whispered around her, "Your moment has come, Sarah. The truth waits for no one." And as the darkness surged yet again, she realized the twisted path ahead was fraught with even deeper horrors than she could ever imagine. What had she stirred in her fight against fate? The darkness roared around Sarah, swirling like a living thing, a torrent of anguish threatening to engulf her whole. She braced herself, heart hammering. Fear gripped her, but beneath it pulsated a singular truth: the love she had for Emma was stronger than any shadow could crush. Face your deepest regrets. The figure stalked closer, its face an ever-shifting mask of terror. Only then can you hope to save her. The weight of that challenge pressed down on her, suffocating, but Sarah clenched her fists in defiance. Visions of her daughter's laughter flickered in and out, each echo infusing her with urgency. I will face them. For Emma. She shouted, her voice ripping through the darkness like a knife. The walls trembled, shadows screeching as memories crashed over her, pushing her backwards into the corners of her mind, her childhood, her misunderstandings, those moments when she hadn't been there for Emma. Each regret a wound, layered in sharp pain. But with each piece of lost memory, a voice in her urged her to remember the joy, the fleeting moments of light amid the dark. Mommy, please. I need you. Emma's voice radiated through the cacophony, calling her back. Desperation surged in Sarah's veins, she couldn't let that voice vanish like smoke. Drawing in a deep breath, she began to walk through the shadows, fighting against the looming despair. As she stepped forward, each hesitant footfall tore a scream from the figure, pushing through the pain of her past. The shadows pulsed with fear, recoiling from that flicker of love. You cannot escape the truth. The figure hissed, but Sarah pressed on. Love transcends pain. She shouted. You have no power over me. I'm taking back what's mine. In that moment of clarity, the shadows caught fire, swirling chaotic and wild. The sinister figure faltered, its essence flickering as though threatened. No. This cannot be. You belong to the darkness. It howled, but Sarah continued, unyielding against the rasping winds of grief. Emma. She cried again, her heart bursting with memories, baking cookies, bedtime stories, watching the sunrise together. Each recollection strengthened her resolve, radiating warmth against the chill that solidified the shadows around her. You are my light. Suddenly, the asylum began to quake, walls cracking and fissuring as blasts of light erupted from Sarah's heart, surging like a tidal wave. The shadows writhed, desperate to escape her unyielding brightness. We are more than this darkness. She declared, and with that proclamation, the world around her shattered, the room erupted in a blinding flash, colors swirling and diving together, the darkness screaming in retreat. She felt Emma drawing closer, her child's essence glowing golden, illuminating the dim corners of the room. Mommy! Emma cried, apprehension and hope entwined in her tiny voice. As the last remnants of the figure fled, Sarah felt Emma's small hand slip into hers. I'm here. Emma cried, her voice a melody that washed over Sarah, soothing her soul. The warmth enveloped them both, shattering the despair like glass. But then shadows lingered at the edges, clawing still, like a wave searching for a beach to wash over. You may have escaped this time, a voice slithered from the void, but you cannot escape your past. The darkness will always find you. With that echoed warning, the asylum began to transform. Its walls shimmered, fading away like smoke in the breeze. Slowly, Sarah and Emma found themselves standing on a hill overlooking Maple Grove, the sun breaking through the horizon, golden light spilling across their faces. The town looked different, brighter. Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks as she pulled her daughter close. Was it a dream? A passing illusion? The weight of grief and despair still hung in the air, but something crucial had shifted, a depth of hope ignited in her that was impossible to extinguish. Mommy, are we safe now? Emma asked, her eyes bright and clear, reflecting the new dawn. Together, sweetheart, we'll face everything. Sarah squeezed her daughter's hand, anchoring herself in this moment. This time, they would confront the world as allies, always entwined through the light their love brought, and so, as the warm sun caressed their faces, they walked toward the town, ready to weave their story anew. Maple Grove, once shadowed by fear, now whispered promises of healing, the chilling echoes of the past retreating into a fragile silence. While Sarah and Emma had emerged from the asylum with scars etched deep, they would transform those wounds into the foundation of their renewed life, carving a path toward resilience and unbreakable love. As the final whispers of darkness faded into the morning air, Sarah whispered, "We are free." Now, if you enjoyed this thrilling conclusion, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and make sure it reaches others who need to see this. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Your voice matters. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this chilling journey. Remember, only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.